What's up, everyone? I'm Tweek or Gavin. There
What
he
up?
goes again.
Bro, I don't know why it makes me laugh. I'm Marcus or Pink.
What up? What up? I'm Charles. Get the merch. Get the merch.
Ooh.
Merch is clean. What's going on? I'm Matt, aka Hazmatt, and today we're joined again by some amazing guests. We got VGBC's own GimR and Aposl, and you know them from VGBC, running tournament series such as Glitch, Pound, SmashCon, Smash World Tour, and most recently the Apex series. What's up, guys?
What's up? What's up?
How's it going?
You're doing
What's
real
good?
quick. We don't run SmashCon.
I knew, yeah.
It's Justin. I just want to put that
All
out
right,
there.
start
'Cause everybody
over.
thinks we do. No, don't
Start over.
worry.
No, I'm just kidding.
Everybody
No,
thinks we run SmashCon.
yeah.
This is actually good.
This is
Now we're
good.
clearing this up. 'Cause every
You're
single
welcome.
person DMs me like, every day asking about SmashCon reg and stuff. So get this
So-
all out there.
You guys heard it here
Nice.
first. DM GimR if you have any SmashCon questions.
Everything SmashCon DM GimR.
There you go.
At least it's not me.
Get Aposl in there. Make it a group DM. Throw them both in there. Cool.
Don't worry. If he doesn't respond, they will DM me.
True.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us, guys. We're really obviously excited to have you on the show. In terms of Smash, I mean, you guys have been here essentially since the beginning. You have your own story in here, and I mean, you guys at this point are grown men who at one point in life had made a decision that you're going to turn your passion into how you make your money. And I guess my first question to start this off is, at some point you must have realized that this was all a possibility, become streamers and hosts of tournaments and kind of carry the torch for all Smash content, Melee, Ultimate, everything, your most recent game, whatever. Was there like a particular moment that you guys had or that you ran into that you were like, wow, we could really do this. Like, this could really work out for us.
Yeah. So, dang. I mean, let me lay the foundation first before I get to that moment, because it took 5 years to get to that moment. But
What was the first tournament? I think that's a good place to start. What was the first tournament you guys streamed on
So-
VGBC?
we ran tournaments before we could stream, but the first event we ever ran was called Brawl Till You Fall. It was in a karate studio from a family friend, and we had like 120 people there, and
Oh.
me and Matt really wanted to make a splash running an event.
I
So
just
we
want
had-
to say, first tournament we ever ran.
yeah,
Yeah, that's actually
people.
impressive.
first tournament.
That's
And-
huge.
That was in Brawl era.
Huge for Brawl.
So you got to factor in the inflation.
Yeah.
That's
And it was
like
the
a
inflation.
major.
It was actually before the first Apex, and because our registration was going so well, Apex had to they push their date back a month. That was like 80-person Apex, the very first one. It was like nobody. But we basically made a little Photoshop template, and we like sent to everybody's DM an invite, and it had like their main character.
Anyone who was like on the East Coast considered the best of their character, we made a personalized invite with their character. And that like obviously doesn't sound like a big deal, but nobody did stuff like that back then. So, and they got it DM'd to them, like he said, on Smashboards. So like it came out of nowhere and people were just like, what the heck is this event? Like, this is hype.
Yeah, and anything back then to make yourself feel special as a player like went a long way. So we got people to show up, and then
Remember how people were like, it was like they were bragging, like if they got one, they like were starting threads where they were like, I got an invite. It was like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory golden ticket kind of thing. Like, oh my God, I got one of the invites. I'm recognized. It was pretty awesome. It felt good for that reaction to happen.
Yep. And then we met with the owners of Plank. After that, because we were just like, yeah, this is fun, but what's the next step? And we realized at that point that, because Video Game Bootcamp, obviously, it sounds like training. So that was our first, like, how can we make Smash big? So we're like, what if we made it easier for people to get into it? But then we realized getting more eyes onto it was probably the best way to go. There was no Twitch. There was no good streaming program. Like back then, streaming was, it was a
It
complete,
was a crapshoot.
it was total hassle. But that's the way we wanted to go, and we were also kind of inspired by Homemade Waffles because he was doing all this West Coast Melee stuff on his YouTube channel, and it was going pretty well. So we had a meeting with Plank, and he was just like, "You could stream the whole event, but I'm gonna need 30 CRTs." So me and Matt,
And guess what just happened to be happening that year? Blockbuster went out of business. So we were driving around to all the Blockbusters and buying the TVs that they used to hang from the ceilings. at the Blockbusters. That's
Yeah.
actually how we got the majority of our stock of CRTs that we had for a long time.
I never
And,
knew that.
Yep. I
Yep.
think we were actually the first vault. We were like the first CRT vault. We kept it in our mom's garage. Matt, like, it was crazy to let Matt do this because they gave him a ladder. Like, these were like 50-pound CRTs, and he just went up and took them out. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
I, I was going to say, we have a pretty young audience, you know, a lot of Smash Ultimate players. For those of you who don't know, 30 CRTs is roughly like 3 tons worth of TVs. So it really, you know, probably needed a flatbed truck and all these other things to carry it. So that's
Yeah.
crazy, though. I never knew Blockbuster was deep within the roots of the Smash communities in VGBC.
yep. So we got those CRTs. We made it happen. The event went really well. And at that point, you know, Apex reached out for Apex 2010. So we partnered with them. You know, we had the East Coast CRT Vault. And obviously Apex 2010 was like really good. We had those interviews with the double mics.
Larry won.
VGBootCamp.
That's the one Larry won, right?
Oh, no.
The
Matt was
Larry
the-
video that came out recently.
Mhm.
Yep.
We saw, I was like, yo, is that Aposl?
Oh, yeah.
Larry? Hold up.
So great.
You had so many good interviews. My favorite one's Blade, obviously. That one is so good.
I appreciate that because I have looked back at those interviews from time to time, and I feel like they did not age well.
It was like a different. We were just getting started. We were just young. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It was.
Everyone,
It was-
literally young. Like everyone was so young. It's crazy.
It was so funny because like I just just had this standardized like questionnaire I just asked everyone, and then like it was funny because like I feel like I knew everyone I interviewed by that point. So I think it was definitely something, if I recall correctly, that I was doing like it was like supposed to get people who didn't know what was going on with the Smash scene. Like if they saw the interview, it would be cool to be like, oh look, I'm interviewing the best of this player or arguably the best of this player. You know, so that was a interesting experience. I don't know how much we went into this yet, but definitely that was the craziest tournament we were ever part of because we were just doing so much. Like it was like we just tried to do like 5 things we'd never done before. And I remember that like I was just trying to get the most out of the interviews, so I was just running around and like grabbing people that were on my list, but I was just like grabbing people and doing the interviews, and just as soon as the interview was over, I would have to stop, run, and find the next person and get them to come to the interview spot. So if you look at those, you'll see that like I look like I was working out. I'm just like sweating profusely, and like that was like one of the memes. Like back then, people were making a joke like he's so nervous. I'm not nervous.
Tired.
I'm not nervous that I'm interviewing late or something. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm not nervous about that. Like
Yeah, I actually did one interview that's somewhere on the channel with an Ice Climbers player just so I could talk to him about tech. It was just so cringe.
That sounds like something you would do.
I know. What do you
Yeah,
think about
some
the
things
Met?
don't change.
And then we did a bunch of streams, and you know, we moved on from Apex. We went to, I guess, Pound, the next Pound, which you know, don't want to talk about that. And then Pound was gone for a little bit, and then we went to Genesis 2, but we didn't really go there. We just went there to have fun. It was our first West Coast event. Met all the guys over there. But then at some point in 2012, before the Evo Drive, we got our Twitch channel and we got partnered. And we got partnered at Melee FC 10R, I think is what it's called, like the weekend of. And Twitch gave us front page for part of it. So we worked really hard on that event. Like at this point, honestly, before this event, me and Matt were very much considering quitting. You know, even back then, there was a lot of politics behind the scenes. It was a lot of hard work, and you know, there was nothing we were all like fighting over. You know, it's like there's nothing to have. So we were just like, oh man, and then we just like let's just give it our all for this last one. So we got partnered. We worked really hard on the trailer for the event. I used like the Dead Island, is that what it's called, soundtrack for that trailer that was really popular, to make a really cool trailer, and it was all Melee, by the way. So we had like 3,000 viewers, and then we hit front page on Twitch, and we got 5,000 viewers, and Matt was like on the floor talking to people. So like he found Robin. And Robin was like, yo, I got Big House coming up in a couple months. That's when it was like literally in like a meeting room at a college, like what, 80 by 100
Yeah,
feet.
I forgot about that.
So then at there, he met Blur, and then we got Kings of Cali. We did ROM. It was just like every 2 weeks we were going and we were doing something. It started building up, and then the Evo drive happened, and obviously we helped with that. The final push was on our channel. Evo comes around, and now we're just like streaming a ton of stuff, as much as possible. Bam, 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 and then I get hit up 2 weeks before Big House 2013 by this guy named Travis, and he's like, "Hey, I'm premiering my documentary at Big House. I know you're streaming it. Like, I was wondering if you could like help me QC it, see if I had any issues." So he like sent me over the first episode, and I like watched over it. And the only thing he did is he had like the wrong picture of somebody, Killa OR or something. But like obviously the first episode of the doc is like really good. So I was like, "Holy crap, dude! Like this thing is awesome." So it was awesome to get to premiere it on the channel, and then obviously the doors opened. And at least for me, I think my moment was Evo, like because we were already starting to ramp up. So when Evo happened, Evo 2013, um, me and Scar afterwards, we just talked, and I was just like, "Dude, this is just the beginning. Like I can just feel it." And then the doc happened, and it kind of started becoming obvious. So we just started like every weekend, nonstop, back to back to back, and while still having full time jobs. But a little younger back then.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was more you did a lot of that heavy lifting that year. You were out on the he was out on the road every weekend, and I was stuck at home because I couldn't afford to go to anything.
Well,
I remember. Oh, what were you saying?
it's not just that. Like, I had a job that let me take off whenever I wanted. I just wouldn't get paid if I took off. So like, it just gave me freedom to like, all right, I'm going to an event this weekend. And they're like, okay.
So I remember me and Calvin had a talk about when he was gonna go full time VG boot camp because we only made enough money at the beginning for one of us to go full time, and it obviously made more sense for him to do it. And we had been running Xanadu Weeklies for a while, and I was like the person during the Brawl era in our region who kept Brawl alive way longer than I probably should have. Like I literally was like going around and just finding different venues so that we could have a different weekend tournament every weekend at a different place in our region. I There was these guys called Deez and Sin. They were twins. They had their own venue and they were smashers, and they wouldn't do their own tournaments. So I ran tournaments at their venue, which was like equivalent to what Xanadu was. In it
Like
was
in
it was,
2009, which is crazy.
and then I was like there was like a municipal center or something like that, like a Boys and Girls Club that I found that I was running tournaments there, and then Omni ran one kind of big tournament at Xanadu, and I was just like, "Yo, are you gonna keep running tournaments there?" And he was just like, "I'll do one whenever I want." And I was like, "Yo, Calvin, like Xanadu obviously is gonna want tournaments happening all the time. Omni's basically being whack. Let me just go in there and see if they'll let us run the tournaments." And they did, and for a second, Omni was mad at me, but I was just like, "Bro, you told me you didn't know if you were running another tournament. Like that's not my fault. Like you were aimless." So we started the Xanadu Weekly, which used to be a training session we did at our house
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
called Brawl So Hard, and we started building up Xanadu as like the first real
Yeah, yeah.
Smash Weekly that was streamed, and you know, all this stuff that Calvin's talking about is going on too. This is more like where I was at, helping getting that started. And then obviously Calvin was just going ham, traveling every weekend and also running the stream at Tuesday nights. And he gets to go full time. And I'm just like, I'm working at Sam's Club. I'm just like, I don't want to keep working here. I want to get out of this as soon as possible. I want to make going full time work. So I just like figured out what the cheapest bare bones way I could live my life so that I could go full time when this was. And, me and Calvin talked about it. And it just happened that the guys who owned Xanadu didn't want to run it anymore, and they brought me and Calvin and the guy who ran FGC nights, and his name's Rugel. He's a old school CVS player, CVS 2 player, and basically he was like, I don't want to take over, and we were like, me and Calvin talked about it, and we're like, well, what we have with Xanadu on Tuesday nights is like something special, and it's helping keep our channel alive while, between big events, because, like I said, we were barely able to like do it full time. So we just took over, and because we had to take over Xanadu, that was also part of the reason I was able to go full time at the beginning.
Yeah. So the Xanadu takeover was at the end of 2014. So obviously that's when our channel was like really like starting to pop off. It was a few months before Apex 2015, which was obviously just insanity. But Matt just brought something up earlier that I want to touch on that I totally forgot. Yeah, the Xanadu Tuesday weekly. So FGC has had weeklies for years, and they've all popped off. They've all had a lot of people, but Smash never had it. So me and Matt were just like, why don't we just try to do this for Smash? But for the first, I don't know, 6 months, it was like 4 people and TK on the mic.
Yeah, who was it? It was like, I think it was Pink would come,
Coney.
Seagull Joe.
Yup, Joe, and sometimes Tant would come.
Logic would come.
Sometimes Logic would come. And every now and then I could get Noit to come.
Oh, snap.
And Coney was there most of the time too.
Like that was all the entrance, that's it?
Yeah.
Well, we couldn't even run a tournament. We were just like playing so we could
play.
stream it. And we
I
actually
see.
found, because our Twitch archive, because we're a tournament thing, like they don't erase any of our VODs, we found the VOD of the first weekly at Xanadu, and it opens up, because we only had gameplay, we didn't have a commentator shot, but like the gameplay, and you hear TK on the mic, and like he's like, oh my god, 7 viewers, VG got it like that?
Only down from here. There's no way it could get better than 7.
That's the best thing I've ever heard. Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that it's funny because like whenever new people come into the scene, and yeah, I'm gonna say a boomer thing right now. I'm just gonna say that right now. Whenever new people come into the scene and they're like, "Oh man, Smash scene is so dirt poor and they don't have anything," I'm like, you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. I'm not saying we're esports because we're not, but you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, there was people who literally put their blood, sweat, and tears into the scene to make it grow. There was nothing here. It was a barren desert, and we turned it into an oasis, kind of. I'm not agreeing with this metaphor at this point, but we're here where we are. I'll still
for the audio-only listeners, he did do air quotes around oasis. I think that's important to throw in there, so just so everyone understands.
What's crazy is like when I think about it now, I was like 16 or 17, but this was like 12 years ago, right? Like 12, 13, 14 years ago. And I remember like trying to get my parents to let me go to events because I was so young and they weren't really having it. But eventually, once Xanadu started becoming a thing, I was like, hey, it's not that far. It's like 15, 20 minutes from here. And I can get one of my friends to take me that I've been going to tournaments with like here and there for like a year or so. And that was like, and I always say this, like every now and then I'll like bring it up, but like I kind of owe where I am now in life to you guys, like because you started Xanadu, it like gave me a place to where I could go and I could practice. Because Brawl, y'all think Smash Ultimate Wi-Fi is bad. Brawl Wi-Fi was abysmal. Like you would be playing and sometimes it was a power. It would legit be a PowerPoint. Sometimes.
It was turn-based combat for sure.
Yes,
yeah, physically painful, like sure. Actually painful.
But like just getting like to be able to practice and like even beyond that, once y'all actually started to grow, like me just being on the channel so much, like gave me like a sort of a presence. So honestly, without you all and Xanadu, I probably wouldn't be where I am right now. So again, thank you.
Well, we appreciate that. Appreciate that, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, I guess the next thing we could talk about is Smash World Tour, right? We kind of went over the past of VG, and kind of how you guys got to this point. And I mean, obviously, one of the biggest, if not the biggest thing for Smash right now that's happening is Smash World Tour that gives, a huge outlet for all these players. And this is something, just a Smash circuit is something that we've all wanted as a community since God knows how long, right? And it's just so hard to accomplish that. And you guys have done so already and already kicking into the second season, if you will, of Smash World Tour. So I guess, yeah, what do you guys got to say about Smash World Tour? Like, obviously, we're all hyped here for this upcoming Smash World Tour coming in. Huge amount of funds, right? Like $250,000 in prize pools. So that's like absolutely insane for Smash.
So, yeah, I want to say something about this. So one thing people don't remember, because it's a buried part of VG Bootcamp's history, and we like to keep it that way, but I'll talk about it here, is we started something called the VG National Circuit like year 2 when we started. And it started with
2010.
Pound. It started with Pound, and that first Pound we streamed, and we got the next Apex on it, and we were running. We decided we were going to run our own events, like at convention centers and stuff. And we took all the profits we made from Pound, because we sold food and shirts, and that had never been done at a venue before. So we cleaned up pretty well. Probably made more money at that tournament than we made at any other tournament ran for like 8 years or something. So we thought, oh, this is all you got to do to make these things make money, and we thought we had a reasonable business plan. So we ran a tournament in Indianapolis, and I looked at all the major tournaments before I picked the date. And what happened was there just happened to be a local tournament that same weekend that happened to just pop off, and it was not in the major tournament listings. So I thought we were good and we wouldn't be competing with anyone, causing any problems, because I understood you don't run a tournament, you don't step on toes. I understood that. And we signed a contract with the convention center, and that guy was like, I tried to be like, is there anything you can do? Can we work this out? Can we cross promo? Can we do anything? We kind of worked it out. No, I have no hard feelings or anything about that. But basically, the event failed, and we lost all the money we made. And MLG was announced right after that, and right after they announced, we were able to just slowly slink away with our tail between our legs and just cancel the circuit, not say anything about it. Just let it go. We're like, well, because MLG is happening, it's just, it just made sense. Everyone bought that, so. But one thing that I always said, and I always told people, is we were going to do this world tour. I always said it was going to happen. And one thing that I'm pretty proud of is almost everything that I've ever said we were going to accomplish, we've done. And that was the last big one that I said we were going to do this. And I said it for years and years to people. I was like, people will be on the sidelines of the major and be like, oh man, I just wish Smash was bigger. Don't worry, man, we got you. We're going to make it happen. I got you. And we did, and I'm just very proud of that fact. So I just wanted to juxtapose where we came from and our original failure with this.
Yeah, so to give you a little bit of history of why it took so long from point A to point B once VG Bootcamp blew up, there was always whisperings and of a tour eventually happening right in the scene. Different people we worked with hey, I'm working on it, blah blah. So me and Matt never wanted to come in as this compete against our own people, you know what I mean? So we were always backing it, and then after a while we didn't think it was going to happen. So in 2017 we actually got with a group of TOs and we made a deck with all their stuff and hey, why don't we just try to make something happen? And they all said no, and it's understandable. They were still hearing rumors of more official type things and everything. So we were just all right. And then a couple of years went by and we were all right, we're just going to do it. So in 2019, Ultimate just came out. Things were going really well. We talked to Justin from SmashCon, the owner of SmashCon. And we were just yo, let's do it. So we started planning in June 2019 and reaching out to TOs. And
I think you meant 2018.
No, June 2019 is when we started planning because we announced in March.
You're right. My bad.
We announced 4 days before COVID.
COVID like messes with my perception of the
Time.
last 4 years.
Yeah,
True.
understandable.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be honest. There was like a silver lining of relief because just like what we got ourselves into with the 2020 World Tour, a lot of time went by until the 2021 one. So like every year you get better at what you're doing. There's a lot of growth.
So something Calvin forgot to mention is one of the main reasons we pushed to do 2020 was because of Ultimate, and we were like, this game is very good. We've had a rough couple iterations. I love all the old versions of Smash. I'm not trying to talk any smack, but Melee's viewership kind of kept staying at the top, even though new games are coming out, and obviously that affects us because of what we do. And this game came out, and we just immediately, like within 2 weeks of the game coming out, we were like, yeah, like we got to make this happen because this is the way the scene goes to the next level. So it was really important to us because we just, we've seen so many lifespans of games. We've kind of like started to like, figure it out of like when you got to make stuff happen or it will never happen. Like you got to go with the momentum kind of thing. So we just knew it was really important. And that's why we got to the point where we couldn't wait for anyone else anymore. We were like, we got to do this now. Like no more sitting patiently around and for other people to say something's going to happen and it doesn't happen. So like we really knew like this is the opportunity for the community and we had to make it happen. So that was a driving force for us in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and then moving on to 2021, like obviously that tour was like the hardest thing we've ever done because we had to run 25 events by ourselves, or with our core group, on a 2020 budget because the 2020 tour was like all community events.
Yeah, shout outs to Kevin. He never gets any
Oh yeah,
he
Kevin.
never gets his name dropped, so I had
He's
to
the
shout him
fourth
out.
partner, so we got to show him some love. But basically, we took a tour budget that was for just managing the tour and the finals. And we had to run 25 events. So it basically meant the core group had to do everything. And we had obviously we had amazing partners all over the world and we couldn't have done it without them. But we, since like late 2019, we have been in 2 calls a day for Smash World Tour. So about 2 hours a day besides weekends.
Wow.
Just in meetings.
Yeah, just meetings for staff. So that doesn't include other meetings regarding VG Bootcamp, Xanadu, the tour in general, all this other stuff. So then to have to plan 25 events, that's basically every 2 weeks there's an event, and 11 of them are online. But our resources were so strained that when we announced this online circuit, and like there was backlash and all this other stuff, we just didn't have the time or energy to like reach out to all the top players and get in calls with them and explain everything. So obviously there were some optic issues with the first year because we just didn't have the energy to properly like respond to certain things that people were saying and like drama and all this other stuff that wasn't true. And we didn't respond to it either.
And just to follow up on kind of like what I said going into doing it the first time, that's also the reason why we had to make it. Like we were like, okay, we're forced to not do it this year because of the pandemic, but we have to make something happen, and we had to bet that we would be able to figure out that transition back into live events in time. We just had to take a guess because we were like, once again, if Ultimate is forced online for 2 whole years and there's nothing like official or cool happening for it, that is a death sentence for a scene, or at least that was one of our fears. Obviously, we could have maybe done nothing and maybe it could have been okay, but like, that's we couldn't risk that. Like we knew the scene, like we spent so much time helping grow this scene. We weren't willing to just like, oh, let's just see what happens. So, that's basically the optics we didn't get to really talk about, and the kind of the part of it that we never get to tell people about usually, because it's just, you try to say something like that when there's so many variables, you're just going to get a bunch of people saying you're making excuses and stuff like that. And it's just like, we don't want to fight that. You know what I mean? We're not trying to fight that fight optically. It is what it is. We know why we're doing it. We know what's in our hearts. You know what I mean? But like, people might be like, oh, you're doing it for this reason or that reason. It's just like, yeah, I see why you think that. I can see how you could see it that way. So it's just like, that was one of those things where it's like, when we're doing all that work, it's just like, we didn't really have, first off, we didn't have the time. We didn't have the energy. And I say personally, I didn't have the heart to have that fight against the public. So, and plus we knew that like, hey, if it's not reasonable to do X or Y, we will wait. We never forced an event when we thought it would be unsafe. We always waited it out.
Yeah, we had to
Like-
delay like 3 regional finals every week.
Yeah,
it
a lot-
was
yeah.
such a like having to replan an entire event. And for our TOs in different countries, it was terrible for them too.
Yeah.
But with, like, including all the players and the TOs, we had like 250 people we were in constant communications with. So like having to communicate with these people and then like, oh look, some 16-year-old is just talking out of their ass about the world tour because they were invited to something, and it's like I can't. Like, what am I supposed to do? Son a 16-year-old as like the Smash World Tour, like you know, like
Yeah.
But honestly, last year, like, we had so many struggles and hurdles that we really just don't care anymore. So, like, anytime anyone says anything, I just hit them up. Just like,
Yeah.
I don't summon or anything, but I just
I think basically what you're saying is like, we have been through so much that we kind of like, oh, like that seems scary. Like, dealing with X or Y seems scary, but now that we've been through it, it's just not scary anymore. It's like, oh, it's just someone having a bad day and venting.
news
Like,
cycle.
we take, it's people forget that we're from, like I said, we're from the dirt. We were there and there's nothing, so they don't realize how personally we take some of this stuff sometimes. But then we like process it. But
Yeah.
like, when we first hear it, it's like getting punched in the face, and you're like, oh, ow, I got effed up, and then you realize like, oh, that didn't hurt.
Yeah. Also, like, there can be nothing worse for us than the underdog boost thing that happened. So, like, I just don't think it's really possible for us to ever get that stressed out ever again. Back when we thought that it was on the entire tournament.
Oh yeah,
that
for
was
an
like
hour.
Yeah, that hour was pretty rough for all of us.
Yeah, I was just trying to like, I knew there was nothing we could do, so I was just trying to like cheer up Calvin and Justin by like cracking jokes and stuff, and they were just like, they just looked like zombies. They just looked like, oh my goodness, my world is crumbling, and I was like, all right, guys, come on, we got this. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, it was a rough year, and this was like the payoff. Like, we finally get to do an in-person event.
I think that's such an important part of the scene too, is just understanding that there are so many people involved and so many people from not just different walks of life, but also different just ages, man. Like, just different ways people handle things. Like, it's like a different, like, I don't know, like, how to handle stuff and how to, deal with difficult situations is, I think, something that a lot of us have learned, from the Smash community for sure. Like, just kind of how to handle stress and like social media and all that stuff. It's really interesting, like the direction that the community has kind of gone in recently.
Well,
yeah, I would say, you say what you're going to say.
Say that real quick.
I'm
I
gonna be
actually
long
have
winded.
a script someone gave me that makes it so when I go on Twitter, because I usually go there to check my DMs, I can't see my timeline. So I can't get distracted by it when I'm like going to get my DMs. So if any of y'all want it, after the call, I got you. I don't know
That actually
anything that's
sounds
going on.
so dope.
Where the message system is like the base Twitter
Yeah.
or whatever, and then
It's
you
just
can
a
go
big blue nothing, and then like the normal thing on the side, and then I click.
Yeah.
Because I always go to Twitter to go to my DMs, and then I see something on my timeline, and I get distracted or upset.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm done with that.
So I want to talk about the social media aspect of the scene for a second. I hate it, obviously. Who doesn't? But the one thing that I just can't get over is how like people who are part of the scene will just like do stuff that negatively affects like themselves first off, but like the future of the scene. It's like, come on, guys, like we're all working together here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just weird to me that people are willing to like say these nasty things about the scene or like make all these jokes at the scene's expense. And it's just like, and it's like people who like, no offense, they have never like built any part of the scene up. They have not contributed. They're usually just participants of the things other people have created. And it's just like, come on, man, you're over here like gorging on this buffet that all these people have created. And then you're just like, then you just writing the 1-star Yelp review. It's like, what are you doing? Like, this is, you're going to lead to like there being less. So just stop. Like, let's help uplift each other. Like, let's work together. I mean, I know what I'm saying is never going to happen, but like, that's just how I think and feel about it. And I'm just like, I just personally can't get it. I know like being negative gives you clout and that helps you grow in the short term, but it's like, why does no one think about the long term? I just don't get that.
Yep. I mean,
Yeah.
also me and Matt, like just on a like I guess an ideological level, like we don't like we could respond to a lot of this stuff, and like I know in recent time I have been like being a little more aggressive, like when I made the thing about no Johns and all that. But we kind of want to be like a beacon of light. You know what I mean? We don't want to be like these like grumpy old men complaining about everything, complaining about the complainers, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just counterproductive. But sometimes being a little aggressive works. You gotta shift the culture.
You don't always got to camp. That's true.
True.
But it's just how you approach it. We can't look like old man yelling at cloud, right? Like we gotta actually be strategical with how we address it also.
So two things I wanted to mention. One, when the underdog boost thing happened with Smash Bros. Tour, part of me was like, dang, this is brutal because all these people like flew from another country and et cetera, and this is like a bad look, and it's just nothing like this has ever happened before. And then I remember Genesis and .9, and I was like, oh, that was literally someone from another country where this happened to. And I mean, Genesis is fine. So I don't know. I wasn't around during that time, so I couldn't say anything about that. Or like, I don't know how y'all were feeling. But that's definitely something where it's like, things like that happen. And I think people will definitely understand. Like, you try your best, but sometimes like it's some things out of your control. Like unless you're literally between every set, I'm checking the rules. Like that could be something you implement, but beforehand, you have to make mistakes to learn and grow. Yeah. So it wasn't like
it's actually in our run of show now. In between every block, it's a check underdog boost.
Mm-hmm.
0.9 damage.
Yeah. See,
you got it.
Something you learned.
It's true event coordination. You can't control every single factor, but you learn from experience. You know what goes wrong and how to try to prevent it the best you can next time. But it's just like any live production of anything, like a play or like you try to do your best to account for every single thing, but it's just not possible at the end of the day. There's no way you could know exactly everything that's going to happen. So I'm sure you've seen a million things like that before. Internet sucks at the venue. You can't stream it like any. I'm sure
that used to stress me out so much.
Yeah,
I just don't care.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to. We took that obviously very seriously, and I don't want to make any jokes or anything, but we were like, after that happened, we were like just hoping so much that everyone placed their seating because of that. Because it was like, please just get the place of your seed so we can say that it didn't affect anything. It's the only way.
Our only way out.
Well, I was like, MKLeo won. I was like, all right, nobody's gonna be like MKLeo wouldn't have won. Like, you know what I mean? So I was like, oh man. Like honestly, like I was like personally, I was like, dang, Cosmos might win this. This is gonna be hype. But I was like, from just the optic point of view, I was like, oh my goodness, please. Oh man, it was rough times.
I was kind of wondering why you were cheering for Leo so hard in the crowd. Now I know.
Yeah, because you know me, I'm just like been against Leo since day one. So
yeah, you're holding like the Mexican flag up, and you're like, "Let's go!" Yeah, I was like, "Wow, this is really weird. I never see Aposl doing this kind of stuff." But
with that being said, what have you learned, I guess, going into the next Smash World Tour, the current Smash World Tour, that you like from the mistakes that you may have mistakes in air quotes that you may have made from the first World Tour?
So can I go first? Yeah. So like first and foremost, like obviously like mistakes that are made in the moment that you can't do anything about. Like Calvin said, we placed things we've placed procedures in place to help double check those things to make even more that they don't happen. But I would say the overall thing that we've had to learn is just getting exponentially more what's the word I'm looking for? Productive, so that we just with our time, because we just know that like, oh, like we spent too much time on this or we spent too much time on that, and being able to like have shorter conversations on certain topics and stuff like that. Because a lot of thing is management and organizational. It's just like, we're just adding more bowling pins into what we're juggling. So it's just about being able to do that. And I think the number one thing that we wanted to do a better job this year going forward is kind of making the appeal of Smash World Tour more grandiose and more hype, and just what I'm doing this wrong. I can't point the right way.
Stage
Whatever.
right, yeah.
But yeah, just doing that and just trying to show off what we're doing, like, and by that I mean like as you see how hype some of the parts of the world that weren't really able to participate last year and in normal years past didn't really get a spotlight. So that is just something that we're really excited to do, is bring this world stage to the Smash community, because like we all know that like, and the MK Leos, the Tweeks. You guys have been in the spotlight for a very long time, and you deserve it. But we're just trying to give more opportunities, because who knows? Maybe the next MK Leo, the next Tweek will be from a new region that Goat has not come from yet.
Yeah.
So that's just part of what we want to bring to the community.
Go ahead.
It's like a nice parallel too, because we kind of asked, how you guys got started, and you have that story of TK saying there's 7 viewers. None of those 7 viewers knew, TK would be in the position that he is in today. And it's nice to kind of see you guys pay it forward and say, at one point, no one knew who we were either. No one knew what Xanadu was. No one knew what any of this shit was. We were just kind of out here doing this stuff. And as a caster, I mean, you guys have hired me and Charles and so many other people. I'm casting these scenes. I've never even heard of any of the players before, though. But it's just amazing to watch them play. And like, I think you guys have seen it too. Like every region has like a unique kind of style and way they kind of look at the game and like their own little meta and like all this shit. It's just really interesting to see. I think the way I keep saying it about Smash World Tour is that like it's expanding our universe, but also shrinking it so much because we're all so much closer together and have these opportunities to see all these different players and play styles and all this other shit. It's been really, really cool, honestly. And a lot of other scenes too have been popping off. Like EU's been doing really well in Japan. Like it's just easier to watch all these tournaments. Like who would have ever thunk it, at some point from that first, 7 viewer party to where we are now, that this is where it is. So I just love to see it, man. It's been really great being a part of Smash World Tour, honestly.
Oh yeah, thanks. We appreciate that. I mean, yeah, I definitely agree with all that, and I think it kind of just like follows what me and Matt's vision has been from the start. We've kind of just been like trailblazing forward, right? We're always ahead, just like destroying the brush, trying to create a path, and the whole time we're just trying to raise the tide, right? So everybody's going up together, and I think it's just like Smash World Tour is kind of just the next step for that, because just it's obviously like harder, and like now we're growing smaller scenes, so it's like not as like profitable for us to like be focusing on Brazil, right? Like if we're just completely talking about your bottom line, but we're always thinking way ahead, because if everything's bigger and every scene starts getting that one player everybody's watching, it creates storylines. It helps with the saturation problem in the US with events. If those are the only players that people care about, right? Besides Japan. And now, it's starting to happen in Europe. Like people are starting to care about, more European players than just Gluttony. Stuff like that. It's just necessary, right? It's necessary. English is what? 1 billion English speakers. US only has 300 million people. Like Smash is a worldwide game. Especially Ultimate. Like games are like 25 million copies at this point. All over the world. So we just want to keep expanding and making it bigger. And we're just excited because, like Matt said, what was it, like 6 years ago, Leo, 2016, about 6 years ago, Leo had already been having rumblings and he came out. But there's going to be, I think there's this kid in South Korea that is 13 and at his first tournament, he beat a couple of their best players. His first in-person tournament. So
Oh wow.
they're saying that he's like growing as a
Sounds
player, like
familiar.
really fast. So I'm excited to see, things like that continue. We got a duck hunt that just won ultra hard.
Yeah.
There you go.
I was actually gonna ask because we're mentioning about like beginnings and stuff. I was so curious. I guess this question can kind of go to more than just GimR and Aposl. Also, Mark is a bit too because he's from the region. But do y'all remember when I went to my first Xanadu?
Sure
No.
do.
You know what you did in Neo?
I remember that for some reason. I wonder why.
I was just
Tell us
curious.
what the heck.
I just want to hear what everyone thought about that because it was weird because I was also playing Bowser Jr. back then.
All right.
So,
What year? I mean, how old?
dude,
were
I
you?
don't even know. Maybe
This was 2014, probably
2014 or 15. Yeah.
early 2015.
You're like 17, 16. Bowser
I
Jr.?
was in high school.
Yeah.
All right,
so you beat me. I know that. I think I was like your first round.
is
or
this
second
him versus
round?
Neo?
Mm-hmm, it is.
Oh man,
It
can we
is.
get that F smash at the end, please? The F smash at the end. So basically, me and Matt, we don't really talk about publicly about players and talent because given our position, at least for me personally, I don't want to ever come off as biased because like we're the production company where all the VODs are. So I never really talk about like who's my favorite player to watch or anything like that. So we were already knew, like when we saw you playing, we were like, all right, like, this kid is following that path, right, that trajectory, and you're using Bowser Jr. But I think you were on a Pennsylvania tournament. You're going to some New Jersey weekly that was on Smash Studios, and Evan from Smash Studios was hitting us up and just going like, "You see this kid Tweek? Ma, he's just destroying people." So I started like watching you play, and we're bringing players out every once in a while. We were just like, we got to bring Tweek out. Like, this kid's destroying people with Bowser Jr. And then the funny thing about you destroying Neo, and Neo's a very good friend of mine, is Neo's mindset on Smash is like, it's like methodical and neutral, and he's very judgmental if people don't play the way he thinks people should play the game. So the fact that you beat him with Bowser Jr., he was not happy about it. Like, at all. He was just like, oh man, he's just playing cheesy and he got me with stuff because I didn't know how to deal with it and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I knew you were gonna win when you came. I think there was a point in Xanadu's history was like the joke was like, who are we gonna bring out to beat everybody next time?
Yeah, I remember the theme was, so at the time I was like one of the better players from Tri-State, but I wasn't like, I was like, like number 10 at best. Like I wasn't even like top 10 or anything like that. So they're just like, oh, is it just like Tweek's turn to like come down to Xanadu and win? Like I think TK or someone was literally saying something along those lines on the mic. So I just figured that was a funny story to mention, especially because we were talking about like early Xanadu days. So
was I even at that tournament?
I don't know.
I don't recall me being at the tournament.
I don't think
but
so.
I remember I showed up because I was a grind lord, so I would go to work, and then if I had work, sometimes I had work on Tuesdays, and after I finished work, I would go to Xanadu to either play or like watch whatever's happening. And I remember showing up at the end, and I mean, Neo got smoked. And afterward, someone challenges Gavin. It's like Ike to a money match or something, and he smokes them. And I'm like, who is this kid, bro? Like, and it's funny because like he's like he like had to go. I think he's like about to leave, so he just like smokes him real quick. He just takes some money. He's like, all right, I gotta go, and he just leaves. And I was like, oh, this kid is the future, bro. That was my first That was the first time I ever interacted with Tweek. I was like, bro, this kid is crazy.
Yeah, I was in school and like I was going to so many local tournaments that I actually started to do like poorly in school, or like I was like missing like requirements or something. So I probably just had to leave because my parents were mad at me or something. But yeah, I used to go to locals and like I would just use random characters too. until like all the really good players started showing up, I was just doing really well with like anyone I picked. I even played Seagull Joe in a money match after this tournament.
That's what it was. Yeah, you smoked him with Ike. I was like, bro, what?
Something like that. I think I might have done more than one money match, but
It's
Yeah,
interesting.
I think I just was like already just thought you were gonna win when you came. Like I was pretty much just like, yeah. Like I remember there's some people that came that it was like, we have a chance. We can take this guy. But I think like I don't think I recall thinking that way because if we lose to someone I thought that, I remember being like salty. You know what I mean? Like because we competed, so we're like uh, we have competitive mindsets, and we obviously have a lot of regional pride. Uh, because we basically ran a lot of the region for a long time. So, I just remember you coming, and there was no negative feeling, and it wasn't like because like we knew you because we didn't know you yet. It was like because like, oh, we know of him and we know his skill level, so this isn't like insulting. Like,
yeah.
this is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, I mean it's also back to like that vision I talked about with me and Matt. Like anytime some new player comes up and starts destroying people, we just think it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. And those thumbnails, Bowser Jr. and Grandpa.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're a thumbnail master, dude. Every
Yeah.
time I see an obscure character, I'm like, all right, GimR's happy. GimR's happy.
The vision
somewhere.
every time. Like he's like, oh, this.
You think last weekend? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Corin?
Corin, though, come on.
Leia was Corin?
That's right.
Anyone?
When I go to Xanadu, I actually know, like, some part of me in the back of my head knows that they like do that with the thumbnail. So sometimes, like, I'll like play a character mid set, and I'm like, are they gonna put this in the thumbnail? Like, I went mostly this character throughout the set, and then I played this character one game, lost, and then went back to the character I was winning with and won. And then I look and I'm like, why is Sora in this thumbnail? I didn't win a game. Like, what's going on? They gonna just come in here and be like, wait, what? This dude Sora's trash, and then just keep it moving. Like,
I mean, at this point, you know what it is.
true.
Only blame yourself at this point.
I mean,
React to it.
I used to go to every time a new character came out, I used to go to the weekly just to play that new character on stream versus a really bad player. Round one, it was a little grimy.
Dang.
Like I like
Tech
dude.
comes
I
out.
like when Hero came out, I like used the hatchet to break this. It was like the last stock of the set, and I broke his shield with Hatchet Man. And this is like 2 days after the character came out or something. And then I ran up to him, and like Kamikaze was there. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to do it to him. I had to do it. Get those views, David.
Yeah, then we get a bunch of comments going, GimR's so good. You just set it up. You just
The
set
ego
it
at
up.
an all-time
Smash
high. Yes.
The Smash 4, man, it just carries with me still, even though I'm trash.
Are you trash at this game? You're pretty. I think people
Decent.
don't know how much you lab and how much you guys, both of you, actually play.
I was gonna
And
get into that.
I like playing with, like Matt. You and I played a lot at Smash World Tour. We did probably about a half-hour friendlies, if not more. It was.
I
really
was
fun.
I was off, man. I was.
Sure,
It was a bad day.
Good day for me. See ya.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna run that
it's
back.
great.
I'm still salty.
But I think I'll be at more events, dude. I'll see you. You can get a run back. After I deal with Leo, then you can I'll see you at Genesis.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the thing I was going to say is, and I think this is so true, is you'll see it for people who stick around the community, make a name for themselves, and really find success. Is that the truest thing? And this is what I look for in commentators too. Is like how much you actually care about the game, like how much the love of the game. Like you guys said, you came from. There's no money. There's no nothing in the scene. You just did it for the love of the game. And that's always like the most important thing to me when people start getting involved. When players start doing well, commentators start doing well, production people, new channels, all this stuff. It's like, well, how much do you really love the game? And I always see that in the two of you is like how much you still like to play it and lab it and like kind of figure things out. And it's just really cool to see.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Yeah. So me and Matt have kind of like, I mean, we're just Smash players, right? Like we're not. Like Melee was my first game. I still think it's probably the best game ever made. But I just like moving on to the next game, and part of that is me. I mean, you guys know I'm a labber, so like I really enjoy the experience of discovering new things and learning new things. And also, like Matt said, like Ultimate's a really good game. Like it's really, really good, and it's only going to get better. And stocks are only going to start going way faster as people optimize everything they're doing. So yeah, I mean, like we got so lucky with this game. I mean, just look how many characters there are, third party. Like,
How balanced it is.
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's
The new characters winning all these tournaments and stuff. And I mean, I will say that I have somewhat of a gripe with like the amount of tech stripped away, like shield dropping and stuff like that. That kind of sucks, but I also understand through like the overall growth of the game that might have been better, right? Just because you don't want to if you put too many skill barriers in a game, then people will feel in like it's impossible right when they get into the game. Smash, and as annoying as it is when I go on Elite Smash and I get sauced and I'm just like, God, this like person's just mashing and blah blah blah. It's like at the end of the day, that's the reason. Well, it's one of the many reasons why this game is so big. But I think that you guys still find a lot of tech, right? I feel like this game not having a lot of tech can be it's not as much as like previous games, but I think there's still a decent amount of tech in this game that is underexplored, and you know what I mean, and like option selects, all that other stuff. And you guys have made content about that, and I know Gamers Zone is elaborate. I know Apostle labs a bunch about this game too. You guys probably do it together, I would assume. You guys just know a lot about the games and you try to break down the mechanics, right?
Mhm.
Are we getting into this now? Is this for
Hell
real?
yeah, we're getting into this, the nerdy
Okay.
shit.
I was gonna ask it sooner or later because you two are some of my favorite people to talk about the game with, and I feel like a lot of people just might not expect that because you guys like aren't on the camera competing and all that stuff, or this is your first time on the show. Like Charles, Howaz, Marcus, like I love talking about the game with them too. But like you and GimR, like whenever I'm hanging out with y'all, like I love talking about the game with you guys because we get to talk about really nuanced stuff that I don't get to talk about often, and you guys that's kind of like your thing and
Yeah.
so I feel like we just talk about like some of the weird areas of the game, and it's one of my favorite things to do. So I definitely like to hear some of your guys' thoughts on the game and the future of the game and stuff like that on the show, because I feel like it's just not expected from the viewers as well.
So I think I'm coming to the self-realization that my point of view of the game is heavily skewed on the character I play. I'm trying to open my mind to like listen to what other people say who know what they're talking about, not just any random person. For like the stuff I have overlooked, because I feel like I'm over here with like a magnifying glass looking at like this little thing, and I'm like, this is really cool. Like today, like I Calvin's gonna hate me for bringing this up, but I told him I was gonna sneak it into this. I am messing around with this thing with Squirtle where he can land faster by up airing, and like on platforms and stuff, or jump back on the stage, and I just labbed that for like 2 hours today. I just labbed it for 2 hours today. 2 hours of my life is gone because I saved like 5 frames up airing to land on platforms. And so I think I get where you're coming from. I feel like if you talk to me long enough, though, then you start to feel like this guy doesn't know anything.
This guy knows about Squirtle.
Well,
Basically.
if you do the math, really, if you labbed it for 2 hours, but you save 5 frames off of every up air from there on out, you're kind of coming out ahead. You know what I mean? Like how many frames?
Eventually, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it adds up.
You did a lot more up airs.
Yeah, for me, just when it comes to micro interactions, like I think it's always been my thing. I don't know if this is related at all, but last year I was diagnosed with ADHD. I have real trouble in a macro sense paying attention to things. Like even when I play a regular video game, like I always like start like I'm in the corner trying to break through the wall. Like I don't know why. I'm to like start going towards that route. So like when Ultimate was announced and they had it playable at E3, I got 30 minutes with the game at the Nintendo booth with a handheld camcorder that ran at 60 frames per second. So I literally wrote down like every mechanic I could think of to get on camera and to like air dodge or hold shield to like actually see when this thing ended or this or that. And I like kind of like got everything immediately, like before the game came out. And then I made a video about it, but because I was so busy, it was like 2 months after E3, like so nobody watched it. It was just like everything about Ultimate in 3 minutes or something like that. And I like kind of went over every mechanic, but there's just like there are mechanics and things about in this game that people like still really don't know about. Um, that's interesting. Like most people don't know that when you regrab the ledge, all your ledge options have way less invincibility, and everybody buffers one immediately when they regrab the ledge because they're afraid they're gonna get hit, right? So basically, like ledge rolls, like you can hit them like way earlier now. Like you can like hit multiple options at once, and you know when to time it because everybody buffers their get up option the second time because they're afraid they're gonna get spiked or something, right? When they regrab the ledge. And that's just one thing. But there's just like lots of stuff like that because, I think because of the way Smash is, it's so free flow, right? It's like, it's not a fighting game. Fighting games are very direct. It's like, they block this, it's +2. There's no shield drop 11 frames and 3 jump squat and all this other stupid stuff to like refigure out like if this move's actually safe on shield, right? Because air drift, like everything like that. So I think most top players are very just sense. It's like they sense, they absorb information quickly. They never really break it down. Obviously, you're an exception, Tweek, because you're kind of both. You break it down too.
I was gonna say, you want to start beating some of these characters, they're gonna want to start learning that stuff.
Yeah,
You're fighting a Kazuya, you want to know that he cannot punish what you're about to do.
yeah, of
Like
course.
that. I always say that there's two neutrals in Smash. I say there is the fighting game neutral, where like you create a scenario like set play where you know the frame data, you know your options, you create a world in which like I'll really nerd out here. It's like kind of like Jujutsu Kaisen. You create your
No, okay,
you create. Well, I don't even know what it's called. I don't even remember.
Domain
expansion.
Your domain. You create your domain.
Christ.
You create
My
your domain.
God.
But
It's
the
so
real
crazy.
Smash neutral is outside of that. You have to force that so hard to get that.
Yep, exactly.
And-
FGC is way easier to force. So.
Yeah. Honestly, on that point too, I've always felt like, and I love fighting games. I came from fighting games. Like, I think they're amazing. But I always felt like, comparatively, fighting games are like on a grid. Like, you can only move so many spots,
Yep.
and like you can only jump. When you jump, like you're stuck
stuck.
with a jump or
Yep.
whatever. Stuck is a good word. I always felt like it's on a grid. Whereas Smash, it's like, dude, if I want to just jump off stage, like I could just do that if I really wanted to. Like, and free flowing is just the way to go. And that's why, even though I like playing both a lot, I still play fighting games, but I much prefer Smash just for that exact reason. Is that not that things can't be figured out and things aren't solved, but at the same time, the options, it just feels like there's so much more there to work with.
Yep. I agree.
100%. But I still believe it, man. I still believe in it that people are going to get to the point where they're just like locking people down hardcore. I mean, like, it's not all like what I'm talking about. Like a lot of it's, gonna be the Smash way of doing it. Like, oh, I locked you down by like jumping around and doing like drift fake outs and stuff like that. But I really like, at least my play style, the way I like to look at the game is I know what's going on. I know if I do this, it's safe. I know how to limit your options, and I know the frame data. And I didn't used to play like that. I only started playing like that for this game because I'm trying to take this game more seriously than I've taken a Smash game before. And I used to just like do practice tech execution and tricks, like figuring out stuff. Okay, let's talk about that. Back in the day, if you figured
Yep.
something out, it was so much more of an advantage. So much more of an advantage. People were just like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that existed in the game. Like, I know that's kind of a thing in Ultimate too, because there's so many characters. But like,
Hiding tech was a huge thing back in the day, for sure.
Yeah.
dude, it was crazy.
I discovered air releases in Brawl. I made a
Grab
video about
releases?
it.
You discovered a lot of things in Brawl Gamer. I
That
remember
was like
watching a
the
bunch of
Yeah.
like how to punish Meta Knight Tornado videos and like a bunch of and like I think Brawl was sick because it had so much tech, right?
Yeah.
Like Edakis.
remember the
Grab
buffered Dacus?
Yeah.
Is that what you're
buffered
talking about?
Edakis.
Like the where you just explode. That was like when they figured that out. Like, but oh man, I wish buffer stacking still existed. That was such a fun but janky mechanic.
Imagine if I could do
Nope.
buffer Dacus with Diddy up smash.
Holy moly.
They'd
That
fall
would
out.
Hit me hydroplaning.
What about Meister, dude, sliding across the stage with Game & Watch?
Invincible up smash.
Yeah, that'd be
Oh,
sick, dude.
All
That's what I'm
in.
talking about.
All in.
Wait. You're the reason that I was getting grab release and Brawl when I played Lucas?
No, not the grounded one.
Oh, all right.
I'm at the air release.
like the Meta Knight one,
Oh,
I like-
like Wario.
Wario,
and,
Meta Knight.
I had like a video.
Yoshi doing that to people. Yeah.
Like I can't remember exactly. I had like a video with Bowser ground because Bowser had like a 10 frame advantage, right, with ground release, right?
Hmm.
So he could just like, but in a brawl in between hits, if you broke out, you could air release. But if you were getting hit, you automatically ground released. But Bowser's hit was so slow that people could wiggle out to go in the air. And then at the very end of the video, I was like, oh, by the way, you got like even more of an advantage. So like if they do an air release, you can just hit them. And like I just didn't realize that that was like actually the part that mattered because every other character is like, you know, the whole like Marth spiking Meta Knight was only possible with that. And like
Yeah.
anything to hurt Meta Knight.
Didn't that turn out to work with like someone in Melee too or something?
But yeah, Bowser in Melee. It turned out that that's why the grab release, the ground grab release was 10 frames because he had it in Melee. But in Melee, you could just air or ground release whenever you want. That game was just janky.
Yeah.
I think the one of the best things about you guys as well, since you guys started off as players, you've seen many cycles of different games, is one thing that I really enjoy, especially now that you guys are just a lot more refined at it, is you guys understand the practicality of tech, right? Because, you know, some people find tech and it's like, the main question is, does it matter? And how much does it matter, right? And I shout outs to the GimR footstool, right? I know a lot of people were memeing on that, but like legitimately it changes a ton of matchups. There's like some characters that cannot hit you. And I think we were talking about this earlier, GimR, but you know, just like not in a sense where, oh yeah, just burn your double jump and disadvantage just to fish for it.
Yeah.
But in the situation where you do burn your double jump and disadvantage, you still have an option against characters like Mario that they literally cannot hit you, right? And I think that's the point you're trying to drive across, and it drastically changes a ton of matchups because when you're in disadvantage, people will force your double jump. That is a very common scenario, right? And even like the Steve ledge trapping stuff, like ledge trapping is a very common scenario. So when
Yeah.
you are able to limit your opponent's options, and I think that's the thing that I love the most about a lot of your tech content, and I've been a fan since the beginning of time. You know, I've competed in Brawl, watched a bunch of your videos then, and the fact that you guys understand what is practical and what is not, and you guys have learned so much throughout many different iterations of the game, is something that I really appreciate.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
you used to do. You were talking about doing footstool up B with Falco because it did like 40-something%, like mad early into the game.
Now
And
watching Larry on Elite Smash.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm like, what the heck? 3-4 years later, we're in there.
Yeah, I
And-
mean, like the Parry footstool comboing video, and like all the
Mhm.
comments were just like, "Footstool's never gonna happen. It's too hard." It's like it was in Smash 4. Like it was like very normal to do a footstool combo in Smash 4. So.
Yep.
And to me, like I feel like the way I look at it, I'm more of just like I play by feel and all that stuff, and yeah, I'll look up tech and look up how to like hit people and do all that stuff, and that's great. But the thing is like I would never look at the game the way you guys do. You know, like that. I would never. If you gave me Ultimate and I had 100 years to play the game, I would never do exactly what you guys just said. Any of that stuff. Steve would come out, and it just wouldn't be touched. He would barely be unlocked to my Switch. You know what I mean? Like it just, he wouldn't have any ledge trapping. Like it just wouldn't exist. So I always, whenever new characters come out, I'm always like, can't wait to see what the labs, you know, what the lab rats do with this character, especially you guys. Like, because it's just when Kazuya came out, I was paying attention. I had my notifications on that day. That's for sure. I was watching you for your channel.
I went full clickbait with him. I was like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
see how many infinites I can find and put infinite in the title. I did not. When did he come out? July, something like that.
Sure.
Something like
The
that,
Smash
yeah.
World Tour, like we had no time, so I was like, I just gotta get a couple videos out. I did nothing for Sora. Like I barely touched
Nice.
that character. Like
Wait, what?
That character was a landmine for content.
I
or
know.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Bro, my most viewed, like one of the most viewed videos, like if you look me up, is me playing Sora against Mick Banana. Like one of the first days that I'm like, bro, I've been playing this game for over 10 years. I have thousands of VODs. And this video from like 2 weeks ago where I'm playing Sora is my most viewed video. Like y'all, Gims, you could have went stupid
Yeah.
if you like that Dusty Carpet video where he's like,
Yep.
he's
Good video.
doing like all the combo routes. Like if you did that,
Yep.
Dude,
a
Tweek,
million
you should go watch my
I lose this. No, don't. No. Whoa.
Turn up.
Cut the feed. Cut the feed.
Tweek, you should go watch my first Sora stream.
Should I?
There's probably stuff in there that people still don't do with the character. Because I just immediately
I think that character's good.
like
True.
Sephiroth, right? When Sephiroth came out, you know that like up B next to the ledge 2-frame?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, I did that like within 30 minutes of my stream when it first came out.
that
And
took
then I
me.
saw
That
you
took me
doing it.
longer than that to find out.
What the heck? This is what we're talking
Got
about.
little landmines in there of just, like, me just going, what about this?
I want to ask you two for your current top 5 of Ultimate for characters.
Okay, I need to get a character list up first, so I don't
Fair.
forget. So I'm gonna do Endgame for mine.
Okay.
Ooh.
I like
Potential.
That makes
Your
it
top
better.
5 potential.
Yeah.
Do y'all
like
think
what?
yours is going to be similar, or do you think it's going to be a different top 5 for you two?
I
don't
bet
think-
it's
me
similar.
and
I bet
Matt
it's
don't-
similar.
We don't
They
talk
don't.
tiers a lot.
Okay.
We talk tech mostly.
Yeah, I'm actually an anti-tier list person.
I was gonna ask, what are you in general?
Wow.
How do you guys feel about tier
Anti-tier
list?
list.
So remember I said I'm more on the micro type side, not the macro. I just don't think I'm very just not one of my strengths to be able to like think of 90 different characters and like
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm very good at like going like this character is way better than you think, right? Like, but then comparing them to like but there's this character that like can run 10 times faster than everybody else and like do whatever they want. So you got to compare it to that. I'm like, oh yeah, crap.
It's hard. Make it a
Yeah,
tier
maybe
list
this
is
question
hard.
is too hard then.
But
I'm thinking about what's the factors that matter the most. Like that's where my head goes. It's like, is it how much you get off a hit? Is it your ability to avoid getting hit? Is it your
Yep.
ability to get hits? Is it like there? And then it's like, or is it your ability to control the pace of the game the way you want to? I think those are like the 4 main factors that decide what a good character is, and who's the best character. And I just don't know the answer to those questions. But I think that's it. If you have all 4 of those things more than anyone else, you're the best character. Because stats are like speed stat. That's really good on a like player level. Like that kind of thing's good on a player level because it's like, oh, can I get you to rise to this bait? Can I get you to not play this right? I don't consider that. I consider that a talent that a player has to bring out of the character and not the character being good. Even though it is something the character has, it's not. It's like at that point, it's like, well, you're baiting. When you fall for a bait, that's a player failure, right? That's not the character is good, so I fell for the bait because someone will come along and be like, I'm not falling for that. Like a good example of that was in Smash 4 at GTX, I think, and it was Elegant versus MKLeo, and it was Luigi versus Cloud, and Cloud was like, oh, I'm going to throw unlimited buttons at you because I get to, and he was just inching forward. And to me, I was like, as dumb as this sounds, because like I'm not a good player or anything, I was like, why aren't people? I was always wondering why people weren't doing that already. I was wondering why people against Diddy Kong weren't just not pushing buttons. Like, oh, Diddy Kong's so good, but it's like he has a banana in his hand. He's just waiting for you to push a button. Like, make him wait so long till you get the advantage, like till you get into a range where it's like, okay, now it's about frame data. I know like all this is easier said than done, and it's like would require you playing as a robot, but that's kind of like when it's just talking about how good characters are, how I think about it.
I think that's such a part of the human condition in playing, not just Smash, like any game. It's just, you want to hit the buttons. You want the satisfaction of landing hits.
You want to play the game.
Yeah, you want to play the game, right? That's not how it works, though, obviously.
Yeah.
Not every time. Some
Yeah.
matchups you can do that, and sometimes you can't. But Games, hit us with your 5. Let's go.
Okay.
I see over
Well,
there.
so
I see
just
over
to add on to what Matt was saying, this is going to sound really dorky, but I also think that like there is a science, right, to it all, to a certain extent.
Mhm.
Like if you really broke it all down and neutral and everything. But I do think that like the way people think about who's good and who's not, there's like a philosophical aspect to it of like how they look at the world a little bit, and it just affects everything with
Oh
your
shit.
viewpoint.
Whoa.
So I never
agree.
like when someone like says their point of view or something. It's like I never like to just like dunk on them, even if I think they're wrong, because I'm just like, like who's to say
You don't
I'm
want us to
right?
dunk
There's
on you,
90
GimR. It's
characters.
cool, man. Like
Oh no,
we're not
I'll
gonna.
say I don't care about tier lists, so I'll say whatever I want. And I always have wild takes. So
Okay.
Nice.
like, all right, so this one's gonna be I won't top 5. I'll just say some things that might sound wild.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh.
I like
Some
that
hot
better.
takes.
Yeah. Any
I think-
take on it is fine.
I
Let's
think
go.
Endgame, like if we're talking people are practicing like melee.
There's millions of dollars on the line. People super give a shit. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
I
Lefton that doesn't happen. Lefton already told us that, but yeah,
I
sure.
think that Lucas is top 10.
Wow.
Okay. We'll save it for the tier list episode, but
Okay.
fair enough.
Endgame, practicing their asses off to be able to do anything.
Wait, so what
Let's go,
justifies the
Echoes.
Lucas? Is it like
You just
tank
blew Marcus
combos?
so
Like
hard.
what's happening? What's going on here?
Yeah, why?
Um,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, why?
If you're able to get through Ultimate's hurdles when it comes to movement, it's something
Okay.
no one's really been able to get over yet. The restrictions that the game has because of dumb macros and stuff. This character is just like super floaty, can move whenever they want. It's also a fast follower. Has I don't even know what that forward air is. Like the character has some very clear weaknesses, but I think that if you're good enough, it's like it doesn't really matter. Like obviously when people are high up, right? It's like Lucas has like no button that's just like I can deal with you, like game watch and air or anything like that when people are jumping in the air. But the character's like ground to like half full hot level is just like ridiculous, like absolutely insane.
Okay.
So that's just
Okay.
leave
Yeah,
it for
yeah,
later.
yeah.
Let's leave it for later. Let's
Right,
give it
right.
some time.
Who brought him on the show? What
don't
the
know,
heck?
man.
Lucas. Oh,
You
no.
brought
all
the
selling,
show,
we're
bro.
all
No
selling.
judgment zone right now.
All right,
No
I
judgment
think-
I'm
zone.
just,
And this
I
is
never
one I
agreed
always
with
get
that.
people going, I'm stupid. I think Wolf's top 5,
That's fine.
but this is the kind of part of the game I don't want to happen because if someone was really using his drift and really camping, it would be so annoying. Like
Who?
obviously he
Wolf?
doesn't say that again.
Yes.
Wolf.
Oh.
Like if someone was like not interacting, like, I am just going to
Correct. Yes.
H-box Jigglypuff melee, move around whenever I want,
Dang.
know when all of your
Preaching.
reactable ranges are, and just like
Preach.
mix you up constantly. The character's gonna be mad annoying.
I like it, but I
requires
don't know.
like a Omega Brawl mentality. So I just don't even know if it's possible because
You just time
everyone
people
likes
out.
pressing buttons in this game. Everyone's aggressive, which I like. So I hope I am wrong.
Well, plus people don't even convert correctly with Wolf and camp. Like no one like touches you with Wolf, deals 70, and then camps you. Like no one does it. So yeah, I'm with you on that one, Gims. Let's go.
I think that
The player
Diddy
base
Kong
is trash.
is-
All right, moving on.
I think Diddy Kong is a little overrated.
No.
Whoa.
No, just hear me out. Hear me out.
Wrong word.
I
Wrong
think-
word.
I think the character's still like amazing. Don't get me
Yes.
wrong, but just like whenever I'm messing around with the character, I'm like, let's do this Lucas thing again, right? But I don't even know if it's possible with Diddy to do that. Like what it would do to your fingers
Oh, dude.
to
You got 20
moving
minutes to
like
play
you're
against
supposed
Gavin
to.
right now?
Like
Shit.
you just like
What happened
constantly
to
doing this.
advanced? Like this seems like you're going back on your word of like advanced can do it all. Like you just gave Lucas top 10. Like advanced.
I
Can
think
do it all.
Lucas is manageable though. I think Diddy's like you got to do this
For a
really weird.
human.
I guess if you had like a very specific controller setup, maybe like
So
Hitbox?
I've
Box
changed
Diddy, box
changed
Diddy.
my controls for Diddy, and at one point my hands and my arms were like really hurting, and I literally had to start lifting like weights to strengthen my wrists and stuff. Like I have like
Oh my
weights
God.
somewhere down the hallway, specifically because of everything you're talking about. He's a lot, and I'm so glad that we're gassing up how hard Diddy is because some people just don't know.
Gavin's
Dude,
ego's
I
just
still hate
fucking-
playing against Diddy, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the thing is, he can be really bread and butter and like really just normal good character, but he can do some crazy shit.
Still
Yeah, it's
top 20,
funny.
right? Like bare min.
What?
Still like top 20 bare min, right?
Yeah,
Oh, more than that, I would
Oh
say.
yeah, I think.
Bare min?
Yeah, I think he's. Yeah.
He's ridiculous.
top 25 at worst.
Maybe 10.
Wait,
No.
just wait
I
for
would-
Genesis, dude. Wait till our tier list episode coming out soon. That's a teaser. There you go.
Oh yeah,
I can't
Joker,
wait.
obviously broken.
Who? Joker?
Joker's future proof. I think that's what makes him the most broken.
I like that.
Like
Because
He-
of Arsene. I mean, like
Well,
you have to
Arsene and
play.
Fox-
I wouldn't say you have to play
And
honest.
Cont.
I just think you have to be like really consistent with Joker, and that's why Leo was so good with him because until Arsene comes out, but because Leo is just the most consistent player ever.
Yeah,
Like,
he is.
So he's just like, oh, I have to do this like very specific combo and react to hitting this to hit the combo. Okay, I did it my first try, and I just never miss it ever again in my life.
So I think that your idea of how to play characters is completely wrong.
Me?
Yeah, I think your idea of like, oh man, you're gonna be able to lane people out. Well, I don't think you're gonna be able to lane people out in the long run. I think in the long run, people are gonna figure out how to play against that. And I know that this is actually a hot take because almost every fighting game and Smash game in history, you win by being more defensive and learning how to be more defensive. But I actually think that there's so many mechanics in this game that punish you for doing that. Like there's so many characters that can punish you for doing that. Like just by existing and you not interacting with them.
You mean
Wario,
Hero?
Steve.
Joker, yeah. You just think of all the characters.
Steve, yep.
So that's why none of
Yeah,
that,
Steve's
in my
pretty bad.
opinion, like you're going to have to learn how to be good at being aggressive. I'm not saying there won't be matchups where it makes sense to be defensive, but I mean even just like Flood and Water Gun existing. You can't,
Yeah, well,
you
I
can't
guess
camp in the air.
to complain a
Should
little
do
bit
that.
better. I mean, to describe the wolf thing a little bit better. The idea isn't that you're always camping. The idea is that like you're just like the way you're playing is so hard to pin down that when you do explode on someone and hit them, you just like Charles was saying, do 70%
I think Wolf's top 5
because
I just don't think the way you said to play him is how you get a top 5 Wolf.
Dang.
Wolf is not. Fox is better. Fox is better.
Fox is really stupid. I gotta.
I
admit
just
that.
never feel
Hey,
scared.
Pink,
to play
we said
against
it
Fox.
right. Sonic, Fox. Who else was it? Mario. When the game first came out, we were like, "These are better than the old versions." And people were like, "Oh, my character sucks now." And we
I
were
have.
like,
It's all good.
That was
we're,
the best
we're
era.
leaking my tier list right now, but
Oh.
Sonic is top 3 in the whole game.
It's like it's
Very
okay.
Gavin
Here's the
opinion.
thing about
That's all I gotta
Sonic.
say about
I know Sonic's that good in my heart. I mean, in my head, but my heart hates Sonic, so I don't want to give it to him. And I know that's a dumb way to think. That's a dumb way to think.
He won't
He
give
won't,
it
he
up.
won't give it up. He will not give it up.
I just refuse to respect that character. And
All
All right.
I've already made it clear
I give him
that
top 3
want
because
people
I
to
don't
be
respect
aggressive.
it. It's like a top 3 of like hatred. Like
Well, then I'm in.
I got something you should do on your stream. I know you don't really do things like this. You just like to play the game, but you should do like a Sonic hit confirm like contest where like you do the spin dash and then you like spin around in your chair and catch your controller again, and you'll still have time to like react to the spin dash hitting and pull the other person and just see if
kill
you can make
confirm.
it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many things can you do in the time for the kill confirm?
It's
actually
One spin
insane
around,
how
two
good-
spin arounds, a loop de loop.
I just
Spin
feel like
dash
that
fair.
moves like there's programming involved with how hitstone works in the game, right? Like it's unless it's like a crumple or something like that. There's like math to how it works. But then when that move hits somebody, like and then you set the computer to air dodge, you're just like, what's going on here? Like it just doesn't fit the normal programming. It's like what is it like? It's almost 2 seconds, I feel, when you hit them with that. But you have
Long
to.
time.
Yes.
I think
It's like an
that
electric, yeah.
Yeah, they were like this move. If you can't combo off it, what's the point? Like it's the Sonic thing. Like it's
Yeah.
like that's a thing where it's like they wanted the character to be
bad.
Sonic more than they wanted him to be balanced.
I actually think,
That's games
in my opinion, that character is the worst designed character in all of Smash. I played Sonic games, and it does not feel like I'm playing Sonic when I played Sonic.
I wasn't saying that it was done well. I was saying that's why they did that. That's why.
Right, I understand that,
Exactly,
but it's
classic.
just like when your character is literally just doing 2 moves in neutral, like that is so boring, and it's what 3?
2.
Whoa!
One.
I don't prescribe to that argument. I think that
Charles,
you should
you're
be able
alone
to
on
be.
this
I
one,
think if your strength is one move, you should just do it over and over, and it could be very beautiful. I do play Game Watch, just like to say that. And I only have one neutral move that I can use in the air, but
people love Cloud.
No, but like I think it's a little deeper than that. That's just like the face of what's annoying about it. When
Right, it's just 80% of what they do.
It's
so.
But I don't want to play about Sonic because
I just
like
use
why not?
withdraw.
characters.
I just use withdraw. Just like
I think we've hated on Sonic enough. Let's let him. He's gonna watch this and he's gonna be like,
No, I'm just talking about the
True.
character. The players are great. Do whatever you want, man. The character itself was just.
Yeah, this
I
just
just
somehow
hate the
got to
design.
this point after I said Sonic was top 3. I actually play against Sonic like so much that like.
Is it online?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I have the training weights on. You know what I mean? Like I'll fight anything online. It's just how I practice. I don't
If you
know.
can time out Sonic, you can time out any character. That's just that is the way.
If you can just
train for
willingly play against it for like a long enough period of time, you'll become mentally.
You have to.
Yeah.
What's your other option? To like ignore the problem, pretend it doesn't exist, and just lose every time? Like that's your.
I still lose sometimes.
Yeah, you have a better chance now than if you didn't.
Yeah.
After the first patch that Puff got buffed, I called high tier, but I know the last patch is really stupid good, so like can't really take a lot of credit for that. The forward throw alone.
Yeah,
it just kills some characters, dude.
It sure
does.
Yeah, when I made when the forward throw got changed, I made a video about Puff's changes, and I spent like 4 minutes explaining how important it was, like that new forward throw angle.
Yeah,
I was just like, because like that's the type of thing that it's really hard for like a low level player to see.
Right.
Like, it just got changed this angle that you throw, because you have to think of like 8 million things after that throw that the opponent can do now that they're off stage, and it's just really hard to contextualize. Kind of to go back to what Charles said about like, it's not just that we're good at finding tech, like we know, like if it's actually useful. This is something that's like really interesting to me, because when I first started labbing, I was really bad at that, and I'd post tech, and they would just be like, "This is trash," and all this other stuff. But now, I get tagged.
I would console him.
I tag people I get tagged by people all the time, and they're like showing me this tech that's really not useful, and like I don't like. I just feel like I have to respond nicely, right? Because I'm just like, what do I do from this point? I'm just like crush them, and then they never lab again. Like I don't know, because I used to be there. I used to be putting out stuff, and I didn't get why it didn't actually make anything better, and that they give this obvious option that's way better than
Tell
it
about
is.
your Melee Game & Watch video.
My first tech ever was thinking that I figured out how to get a 9.
I knew it. I knew
it. Of course, yeah.
I was not right. I did get like 3 in a row though.
As a kid, I found like a footstool setup with Bowser Jr. into a jab walk in Smash 4, because like you just couldn't tech the footstools and stuff.
Bro,
I titled it like "Footstool Setup OMG" all caps on YouTube. It's still up there to this day.
What?
I think.
I used to argue with people in Brawl that Lucas had a distance where it was set for him to trip you every single time. That wasn't true. But I would be like, bro, I'm at the spacing, and then it would trip, and then I would do it again, and it would trip, and then I would be like, I think I'm at the spacing, and it would trip, and I would be like, I spaced it wrong.
So I think tripping in Ultimate is really cool the way it works, but I hate people who like combo off the trip without reacting. Like they just they just go for the trip.
Oh,
and I'm
they
like,
trip confirm.
Yeah, but they're not, because you can react. It's hard, but you can react. and
There it is.
I'm just like annoyed that like that's the way you play the game. You just read that the trip's gonna happen. Like it makes me
No,
think
man,
that,
you don't even get it. They aren't reading that the trip happened. They were gonna do that regardless if the trip
Yeah.
happened.
The
that's what
chart.
I'm saying. That's
No.
what I'm saying. I'm like you're garbage. Like and another thing I want to get off my chest is how much I just hate platforms. As soon as I realized how good platforms were, I hate them and I hate people. And this is everyone probably, so I'm sorry everyone. But I hate people who like think that's more neutral in Smash. Like that platforms are like just this neutral thing. Like they think of the game that way. I know it's like doesn't make sense because all the stages have platforms. So it makes sense to consider that part of neutral. I just think flatter stages are more neutral and more, I guess, fair. I don't really have an argument for that. It's just the way I see it. It's like you're just actually fighting the spacing of the character's abilities, not like, oh, now I get this like easy to space.
Man,
version of the
you gotta switch to a fighting game, man. You're
You're speaking the wrong
really
language.
trying to
dude.
force them into your
Domain expansion.
hey. But once I get there, I'll be the most hated player on earth.
Fair enough.
People
Matt
that hate
has
playing
a squirrel option. Please don't explain it.
I won't.
But he has a squirrel option select with the forward tilt that when he masters it, like does 3 different things on hit, shield, and whiff. Hit, shield, and whiff. So that's the kind of he wants to get you in that situation.
Is there a
Forward tilt domain
guaranteed trip
expansion.
box at a certain distance though? That's the real question.
Hey,
Forward tilt actually does trip.
Yes. What was I gonna say?
Multi-hit moves, trip.
Well, guys, I think this was a really great episode of Tweek Talks. Are there any closing words from GimR or Aposl? Anything you guys want to say? Last words going around the podcast?
Support our events. Pound, Double Down, Glitch, Xanadu. Crap, I forget.
Not SmashCon.
Apex.
You should go to SmackDown.
You should still go though. But it's not your event, is what I mean.
Ripped, SWTC. Just come out, show support.
There we
Bring in
go.
those venue fees, baby. Let's keep going, growing, doing new cool things.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Thank you so much, y'all.
Matt, you want to say something?
No, I'm good. You said everything I was gonna say.
And when you're on our stream, play one really weird character for just one game.
There you go. There you
like
go.
anyone?
If you want that,
Anyone that no one plays.
that thumbnail fame.
Venue
any
fees and
Smash
thumbnails.
Isabel, Isabel, K. Rule. Look at this list.
You got a list?
Duck
You got a list?
Hunt. Oh,
Ken?
kinda. If Duck Hunt doesn't start doing well, then yeah. But if there's a good Duck Hunt, then nobody's gonna watch Duck Hunt because the character is a little difficult to watch sometimes.
True. All right, GG's guys. That was great.
Thank you so much.
All right.
See
See you.
See ya.